Hey there, I'm Sam Ewan with CoinDesk. We're here at Meridian. Very excited to be sitting with Teana Baker-Taylor and Juan Mendez. Tina's with Circle, Juan with Ripio, and really excited to have a quick conversation. So first of all, welcome guys. Lovely to see you. Tina, I wanted to start off with you. I would love, just in case people don't know, for you to establish kind of what is a stablecoin and what their function is.
Sure. So a stablecoin is essentially a token that has a stabilization mechanism for its value.
Hmm.
So there's a number of ways that you can do that. Circle is a tokenized cash or digital currency version. So it's a fully fiat-backed one currency token that has all of its reserves held in reserve. So the reserves aren't hypothecated or lent in any way. We conduct audits. We are licensed and regulated, and you have a confidence that you can exchange that token in a denomination of a dollar or a euro at any time for an actual dollar or a euro.
It's always one-to-one.
Always one to one.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a number of other types of stabilization mechanisms. Some of those might have baskets of assets or an algorithmic code that stabilizes the mechanism. For us, we believe that that fiat backing is the most safest, transparent way to maintain that stable value.
Amazing. And Juan, Ripio is a wallet company. We have to hold currency in wallets. So, maybe if you could just talk about how wallets themselves are kind of evolving people's relationships with money, and kind of what digital money, digital cash means for people around the world.
Well, our mission at Ripio stands for granting access to people in emerging markets, particularly in Latin America. So down there, we're offering real solutions to real problems to people where economic turmoil and social and political turmoil and restrictions from different governments over the last 20 to 30 years in countries like Argentina have settled a complex but also a perfect landscape for crypto as a catalyzer to start offering, as I said, real solutions. In terms of crypto adoption, stablecoins over the last 3 to 4 years, have even surpassed other crypto, such as Bitcoin and Ether, in terms of volume in our exchanges and our product. Ripio offers different end user product, but also B2B integrations for companies and institutions. And across all of these business units, stablecoins have been the major tool over the last years. As I said, over more established crypto assets such as Bitcoin. So that's a pretty insightful information that we managed to convey with most of our products and our communication and marketing and product strategies as well, because we see the real need, not just using these tools as a remittances tool, which might be the most common use case, but also as a store of value due to weak currencies, devaluation, inflation. People go to stablecoins to find that solution, and they find it there through companies like Ripio.
And just to sort of clarify, we have a currency that has a stronger stability platform to it, and then for those especially who may have trouble being banked or getting payment or live in a very volatile economic condition, it sounds like the combination is really the sweet spot.
Yeah, we're growing globally, but we plan locally. So we manage to partner most banks and fintechs locally to add on and off ramps to fiat. That's to pesos, reais. Argentina and Brazil are our two main markets. We have just landed in Spain after hard work, receiving the local regulation through the Central Bank of Spain. And last year, we also received the license as money transmitters in the US. We're not planning to expand to the US or to the whole Europe, but we know that Florida and Spain particularly are two places that are key markets in terms of business and remittances through Latin America, which is our main focus and will remain our main focus. So we managed to build that ecosystem, which we dream of 10 years, because Ripio is turning 10 years as Circle as well. So we've been around learning over this long journey over this decade.
I think what's really refreshing about that too is that focusing on a specific use case for specific people that have specific challenges. And I think that's one thing that stablecoins have really enabled across the whole kind of digital asset and crypto ecosystem, is the ability to focus in on use cases to actually solve tangible problems. So whether it is, high traffic remittance corridors between Argentina and Spain, whether it's humanitarian aid or, potentially COVID relief. Circle did a pilot last year with doctors in Venezuela to get critical dollars and funding into them during the pandemic. So stablecoins can be a tool for traders and for the digital asset and crypto economy itself, but equally the ability to engage with and interact and potentially not necessarily disrupt, but complement the traditional financial ecosystem, certainly in those areas where traditional financial services doesn't always reach that last mile, or isn't serving those communities as effectively because they are, underbanked, for example, or because there's hyperinflation. Stablecoins provide a tool that really provides genuine utility in those cases.
And Teana, just to go deeper into that, we were at Davos. I believe you guys were there, as was Stellar, and I think that use case, especially around kind of the immediacy around need of aid and disbursement for relief, is one that people don't understand how powerful that can be, especially compared to traditional rails.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit more about how you guys are working on the relief and aid segments and bringing currency
Absolutely.
in?
Yeah. So at Davos, we announced the partnership that we have with Stellar, USDC, and the United Nations High Refugee, the UNHCR. And essentially during the unfortunately ongoing Ukraine refugee crisis, a number of individuals are displaced. And because of the war, the banking system is not operating as it should. And so I think what people don't always appreciate is the immediacy. So if you have to flee a war zone, it's difficult to, pack up all your things. And if you do travel with a significant amount of value, you're at risk, you're vulnerable. So through the Stellar wallet, we're able to dispatch USDC immediately, instantly settled with those recipients that have been identified by the UN. And they are able to go to any MoneyGram anywhere in the world and cash out. So in the future, we're hoping now that EURC, Eurocoin, is on the Stellar network, that potentially that asset will be also used for these types of remittances. And I think what is critical here is you need to put in place the partnerships and the infrastructure to be able to do that, because we don't know when the next crisis is going to come. So we could have, another earthquake in Syria and Turkey. And unfortunately, humanitarian aid and disaster relief is not something you plan for. Right. So you need to have that infrastructure and the ability for those funds to reach those people. And the UN estimates that something like 360 million people worldwide will need humanitarian aid this year, and that's up 30% from last year. So it is a real, tangible, critical use case that impacts people's lives.
And the thing that I was really excited about is also the idea that in a market, and you mentioned this as well, Juan, but in a market where the currency could be devalued so quickly, the ability to keep it in a consistent currency that holds value is really powerful, because then you just take it out only when you need it at that moment.
Correct.
At the exchange rate, right?
Right.
And I feel
And what you need. So
Right,
the rest
exactly.
of it is kind of protected and kept safe in this digital wallet. And so you can withdraw as much as you need, or what you need in that particular location, because you're moving on. You're not in your final destination. So it's a lot safer than carrying a suitcase full of cash, for sure.
Absolutely. And Juan, you guys have had, I think it's about 3 million people go through your systems. Can you just talk about what the vision is of how these digital economies can really transform some of those markets that need, I think, just a financial infrastructure in general, and how this really sort of makes those communities come to life?
Yeah, it is. I think the problem is not just the unbanked, but also the people that that are actually banked but have not access to other forms of other tools that may seem normal in other jurisdictions, such as credit, access to credit, for example, access to different types of investments. People that can store a bit of money, of value, and start investing, they don't have the tools that in Europe or in the US, people, like normal people, middle class people, have.
Yeah.
So I think the problem is a bit like we need to go a bit deeper on what the unbanked problem and the semi-banked situation holds for this type of people, which is the majority of the population in Latin America, which is the place that we focus on. I think these are the main challenges to understand how crypto and all of the blockchain-based products that we add, or we want to add. There's many things to build, but as Teana said, I think partnerships through the pandemic and when traditional companies and traditional institutions started to look crypto with another eye, and starting to get closer and starting to open new conversations, because the first 7 years of Ripio we were just we thought we were alone in a way, like opening all the roads. Ripio means gravel in Spanish, by the way, which is where the rocks that are used to open new roads. So we were literally doing that. And now I think after 2020, after the institutional and the corporate side of traditional finance started to get into crypto, new conversations started to work, and we changed that. We did not change the vision of growing adoption through Latin America, but we started to see adoption differently. And there are many steps toward adoption. It's not the same thing having your wallet and trying to add more users and more users. We did that, but then how to scale from the 3 million that we have in our wallet to our B2B2C integrations. We are reaching 8 million in a year. So that's real adoption, like partnering with the right people, with the right companies, and start building stronger bonds between not talking specifically about remittances, but stronger bonds in terms of technology itself. I think the world now being hyper connected help us to get this type of conversations from a living room and start building a better future to this type of partnerships. I think that's I take that from what you just said, because I also think that is the best way to think about adoption from now on.
I think the partner piece is the critical piece, right? So, at Circle, we are a stablecoin issuer. We issue assets. Those assets are then used on protocols and platforms like Stellar. They are held and interacted with consumers in wallets like Ripio. So you have to bring that community together to be able to realize like the full utility of this technology. But equally, I think now that we're starting to see policymakers embrace this, especially in the stablecoin space, which has this nexus with the traditional financial ecosystem. I know, in some sectors of our community, regulation is not popular, but it does open up access. And so, those growing numbers that we're seeing are because merchants and banks and payment service providers and, people are willing to accept their salaries. You're making humanitarian payments. All of these use cases are starting to actually come to life and exponentially grow because there are regulated pathways to be able to do this within an ecosystem that prevents against, fraud and financial crime, et cetera. So I think that those things are really adding to this convergence of this kind of, explosion of adoption.
And I think just to double click a little bit, Juan, on what you said, which I think is a really important message, is unbanked and underbanked is not just about having a bank account or
Exactly.
a wallet in your pocket. It is about having access to tools that allow you to control your financial freedom and give you the opportunities that people in more developed countries already have. And I think that's a really important thing that we don't talk enough about, because we're trying to go from 0 to 1 as opposed to 1 to something else.
Well, and if you're trying to send a remittance, let's say from Spain to Argentina, that's great if it's faster and cheaper. But once you have that remittance, if it completely devalues into nothing, then kind of what is the point, right? So being able to hold that in, a foreign currency, especially in countries where there are capital controls that potentially prevent that, I think is critical for people to be able to save and plan for their futures.
And invest.
And invest.
Yeah.
All right, Teana, Juan, thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of time with us. Enjoy your Meridian. I hope it goes amazingly well, and we look forward to watching what you guys are doing.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.